Hello everyone, thank you for watching my introduction video upon business analysis and business analyst course. Yesterday what we have discussed broadly, like what all roles and responsibility of business analyst is or are, and what exactly the quality of business analyst are which are needed in the individual to perform the business analysis, you can say requirement gathering and other activities which are covered under business analysis. Further, to start with detailing out all those high level things which we have discussed yesterday, I am going to start session 1, wherein we are going to go step by step detailing out whatever the topics we have discussed yesterday. So the first thing I would like to cover is like the type of requirements. What are different type of requirements are there? So the first category is business requirements. So the business requirements are the requirements which are written by business analyst from, you can say, business point of view or the customer point of view. You can say kind of high level goal. What should be the input and what should be the output? And what is business is expecting as in high level requirement. Second one is the functional requirement. So the functional requirement is something wherein you can say how this input and output is going to be processed to achieve the requirement which is written as part of business requirement is comes under the functional requirement. There is one more in between, you can say the user requirement here, wherein we broadly discuss you can say in user requirements we discuss what will be the input and what is the output. In business requirement it will be the high level goal, what is business is expecting out there. So that is something which is covered under BRD or BRS, and then it will be user requirements also covered under BRS. Then third thing, functional requirement comes under the, which is an FRS document, wherein how this input is going to get processed within the system and how that output is going to come. So all the calculation, all the system behavior, so all this happens in functional requirements. So I am going to name it 3. Second will be your user requirements, and number 4 is non-functional requirement. So in non-functional requirements, basically what we discuss is something system attributes or standards to perform this whole activity or to perform this change. How system, what all different system attributes are required are defined under non-functional requirement. So this is broadly what all different types of requirements are there we have discussed so far. If you have any queries in this type of requirement, you can comment and I can answer those queries for you. So now going ahead, we are going to cover the first element, or you can say the first step when we start doing any requirement gathering or doing any requirement analysis. The BAs are, what BAs is required to do? The stakeholder identification. So what is stakeholder identification? So before starting with the stakeholder identification, I am going to discuss something which is kind of a, you can say, what personality or how business analyst should behave that to get this hold of all the stakeholders, because as we have discussed yesterday, the basic requirement from a business analyst is to liaison between the teams, communicate between the teams. So that is something which is required. Another thing, as a soft skill, as we are not into very technical role wherein we are not building any systems here, we are simply talking to people, we are getting the information, we are arranging in proper systematic format, and we are sending it to somebody else who is going to deliver this. So for that, a business analyst should have a pleasing, you can say, attitude. They should have pleasing personality. You should never go ahead and argue with your customer. You should always have those listening skills first. You should always have a, you can say, problem solving skill first. Because remember guys, as a business analyst, when you're going to customer, sometimes you're representing your company is working for some other company to deliver their goals or their requirements. So you first of all, you're creating your impression, and you're also carrying your company's reputation. So you have to always remember that you should not go out of the boundaries while having a discussions. We have to be very polite, we have to be well groomed. Our personality should showcase that yeah, we are here to listen your problem, and we are going to give you some value addition from our side. So this is something I wanted to cover, not as part of business analyst course, but yeah, how a business analyst should behave. Now when it comes to stakeholders, so now you will say who are these stakeholders are. Now as we say, stakeholder identification is an important element. Why? Because when you say you are going to go and do a requirement gathering, so sometimes it is a very small requirement. So one person from business will come, or they will email you, they will send you some document, some presentation stating that this is my business requirement. You kindly go ahead, do your BRS, do your documents, and then share it with the architects, take my sign off, and go ahead. So this is very simple, straightforward system requirements, or simple small change wherein you have only one or two stakeholders. So which is very easy. Sometimes it is a big requirement. Sometimes it is a whole project is there. Sometimes you are building a new system. At that point in time, you have multiple people, you can say, you have to deal with. So basically what I have understood from my past experience, or you can say that who all different stakeholders can be, though the list is not complete, but yeah, so if you go ahead, I will say the stakeholders of business requirements, or you can say stakeholders of any project or a change. Before starting a project or before starting a requirement gathering, stakeholder identification is very much important. So who are these stakeholders are, and why those are, when we say stakeholders, what is the basically definition of stakeholder? So definition of stakeholder is somebody who has interest in your project or in your change, maybe direct or indirect. So someone who is spending money, someone who is actually developing this particular piece of change, somebody who is delivering, somebody who is testing, somebody who is looking from very high level top management. So all these people are stakeholders, wherein who has interest directly or indirectly. Some people might need a day-to-day report, some people might need a monthly, fortnightly report. So accordingly we have to identify those stakeholders. So broadly I can say business analyst is the first stakeholder. I am writing a short form like BA. So business analyst is the first stakeholder. Then you have your customer, or you can say business representative. Who is basically the person who is giving you the requirement, customer. And then you have SME. Here I will write customer. Then you have SME from your domain. Yeah. And then you have architects. Then you have product owner. Now as we are all moving into the agile way of working, we have product owner, yeah, and you have legal team. You have security team. You have quality team, or you can say quality assurance. Yeah. So broadly, we can say that I think I believe I've covered everything here. Sometimes you also invite like CX people from customer experience, user experience, CX UX team, and all other SMEs or domains. So this is basically a list of, you can say, people who generally gets invited as part of stakeholder identification. Yeah. So you can make a note of it and let me know in comments if I have missed somebody, because I know in each and every project there are some or different list of stakeholders who are responsible or who are going to be interested in this change. So this list goes on, but generally on a broad level I have covered the people who we interact with as a business analyst. Now when it comes to stakeholder, after stakeholder identification, we have to have basically how to maintain those list of stakeholders, that how to categorize these stakeholders. So what I use generally is the RACI matrix, which is RACI. Yeah. So here R means who is responsible, A is who is accountable, C is who is consulted, and I is who is informed. So whoever, what all stakeholders we have identified, we have to categorize into these, you can say, buckets. Yeah. So as we say responsible, so responsible means basically one who is delivering this change or one who is delivering this particular piece of work. So if you are doing as a business analyst, you are preparing a BRS, so you are the responsible person. Now when we say accountable, so who has given you the requirement, or you can say the sign off authority, is going to be the accountable person. So the person once you complete your document, you get the review done, and then you get the sign off. Once it is signed off, it can go to the next level. So now consulted are the people like who know system, you can say end-to-end system architects, you can say SME domain, you can say product owners, wherein you can go and consult with them about your change, so that you are not missing something in your BRS document. Because as a BA, we get very high level requirement. You have to go, you have to talk to 10 people, you have to understand the requirement from different angles, you have to go to legal team, security team, you have to look after their constraints, their requirements. Sometimes you'll take this change to somebody and they will say, no, this is not possible because this is something which is missing. So it goes and creates a new requirement. So again, you have to go back to customer multiple times and you have to ask them, okay, this is the legal team feedback about the requirement. Now what do you suggest? Do we have to change the requirement scope? Do we have to scrap the requirement scope? What is the decision? So you are not the decision maker. You are only going to liaison between the teams, and you are going to ask people until and unless the requirement is fully clarified. Then only you are going to put it into the BRS document. Yeah. And further, you can say that the person who is informed is somebody who is not actually directly involved in this particular activity, but yeah, that person needs that information that this activity is completed. Sometimes it can be senior management, in your case it can be a person who is looking after the high level design, because once you complete your BRS, immediately it will get into the high level design. So the person who is doing the high level design is interested to know that my requirement document is completed or not, my scope is freezed or not. Yeah. So this is the way you have to do stakeholder identification, and this is the way, basically by talking to people, reading between the lines, you have to understand the requirement, get the requirement clarified, and you have to add value in case if required, and then you have to take the sign off after completing your document. Basically, as a business analyst role, we have to always remember that somebody is not going to come and dictate the requirement to us. We have to always go back, check back that we are not putting anything wrong into the FRS document. We are not, though there are reviews, sometimes reviewer also miss something, but it is whole and sole responsibility of a business analyst if there is a scope creep or the requirement is wrong. So our job is very tough job. It is like tongue between the 32 teeth. Yeah. So that you have to remember. Now when it comes to the business analysis techniques, there are different techniques which we can say discuss, but what we use, I am going to tell you the importance of those techniques. Yeah, and we are also going to discuss about those techniques in a very high level. Yeah. So first is Moscow. Generally you must have heard Moscow about like so is must or should, could or would. Sometimes people would say nice to have or should have. So these are the category of the requirement. Once you start looking after the requirement, it can predict, because business requirement is one very high level requirement. It can again get in, you can say, divided or distributed among the different several other requirements. Yeah, because once you get the business requirement, you have to decompose into the 10 different elements. Then you have to take each requirement specifically, and then you have to prioritize those requirements. You have to understand that prioritization. So generally this technique, must have or nice have or nice to have or should have, is something which is required to understand. Now tomorrow in case your technical team comes back and say, okay, this particular requirement number 1, this is not possible, requirement number 2 is possible. So you have to understand this is must have or this is must have. Yeah, if this is must have, then you have to again go back to your customer and say must have requirement is not possible. So what is again the decision? Sometimes business or person will give you the requirement when it goes for the impact assessment, sometimes when it goes for high level design, sometimes system issues, sometimes any other constraints, those requirements get scrapped off also. So we have to always remember we do the requirement prioritization using must have or should, must have. So don't get confused. This is must or should, could or would. Yeah. So always remember this is only 2 categories, either should have or nice to have. Yeah. Now when we come to our next you can say requirement analysis technique, which is like most. So generally this most is mission, objective, strategies. So mission, objective, strategies, and also these are all different types of analysis technique, which generally we get from the customer itself. So you can ask then and there, you need not to go by each and every requirement in this one. You can go directly ask what are the objective about this requirement, what is basically mission of this requirement, so that we already get from business, and what are the different tactics required. So this is generally we don't use as a BA, we use Moscow, which I have told you, and another one is SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is again done by business, and when you collaborate with business, then only you do SWOT analysis that this requirement is possible at business level or not. So that you do not document basically SWOT analysis, you do it along with the business, and if required you can share the document. Yeah. Another one you can say that is PESTLE. Basically PESTLE is nothing but political, economic, legal, and environment, and all this kind of constraints which are there. And another one which I remember is CATWOE. This is again you can say transformation process or worldview, environment constraints, and other things are there. So legal, basically in all these constraints, legal and security we generally cover into our FRS document, and we take sign off with these people. So legal and security requirements, we always go back, discuss with these stakeholders, we make them understand what is the requirement, we take their feedback, and if they are happy, we take their sign off. So generally these are, so broadly we do the Moscow from BRS point of view. Yeah, so this is something you can say that I wanted to cover today, and tomorrow onwards we are going to start with requirement gathering, you can say techniques, what all different requirement gathering techniques are, and what all other aspects of user stories, like what all different acceptance criteria are, and we are also going to cover like what different methods we can use to document our user stories from Agile, or how Agile and Waterfall impacts the business analyst role. So thanks for watching video today. I hope you will like this video. If you really like this video, kindly like and subscribe and share my channel details with your business analyst friends. I hope you will get benefited with this project, and see you soon. Thanks a lot.